I'm Dakota Kappen, and I haven't made a film or photo series that hasn't had a large reaching impact on the whole world. God.
That was it, though.
That was really good. First actual episode in terms of a guest.
Yeah. And we are Indieknot. This is Haven't Made It Yet.
And we have arms.
We have a new
arms.
set. Every episode is one new better thing.
We bought arms
We bought arms.
Let us know in the comments
for our mice. And they look like spiders, and we haven't figured out how to make them look not awkward yet, but...
Or not us awkward. I feel like all of us are now like tin men.
Yeah, who's awkward, the arms or us? I don't know. But today we have, we couldn't find a guest, so we
What do you mean? This is the ultimate guest.
We got the ultimate guest. No, we're just making fun of him. But it's Dakota.
Wow.
There he is.
There he is.
Wow.
Welcome.
Come in.
Come in.
Oh
yeah.
Shut the garage.
This wasn't planned at all. Yeah.
Take the load
take your
off.
shoes
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
There you go.
We don't offer water anymore, so. But we have a chair.
You have a chair.
Yeah, get your little headset in.
Yeah,
and
settle in.
Pull up.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, we should have introduced you the introduction with the director of the AmDocs Film Festival went, which was Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He just saw Dakota and was like, Timothy Chalamet. He was
And then he dapped me up.
he dapped him up
Wait, what?
at the
Someone
at one of the
actually
parties. The AmDocs guy.
That Dakota was Timmy Shalley?
I guess so.
Little
Yeah,
Timmy,
Should have
yeah.
been in that
You
lookalike
got a little
contest.
Bob Dylan
I
in you.
should.
I don't see it at all. We already said before, Dakota is no stranger to us and is kind of part of the crew. And we did just all come back, well, at least Dakota and I and some other people that have been around, come back from the AmDocs Film Festival for PAISANO Overhang, which is, we got a poster of it in the back behind Dakota in his shot. And I'm very excited to talk and debrief about that experience. But before doing that, we should get into Dakota's introducing Dakota to you guys.
So I'm Dakota Kappen. I am a photographer based in Los Angeles. And I'm from Applegate, Oregon, a small town in southern Oregon. Nearest big towns are Medford, Ashland, if anyone listening wants a reference
Wants to
point.
link up.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been in LA for 10 years.
What brought you here? Why? I mean, you were one of the first prior to even Jannik, which is the person that I know the longest, and someone who brought me to LA. Why? What brought you here with barely? I mean, was it Sam that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sam Gosnell, a previous guest on the show. I've been friends with him since middle school. We've done a lot of creative projects together, and he's done a lot of film since then. And so I, after high school, went to college for a few months. Couldn't learn in that environment. So was just struggling with it. And Sam had already moved down to LA right out of high school, and he was lonely and wanted a friend, and I didn't want to be in college, so I moved down and lived with him, and it's worked out.
Did you have like a plan coming down for what you were going to do at all? You were just like,
Not at all.
I'm just going to hang out with
Just
Sam.
vibes.
Just vibes. Those 18, 19-year-old vibes of just doing things without a plan. I knew at the time I wanted to be a photographer and start working. I think I was ready for it. I just took the leap and did it, and really didn't put much thought into it other than, I have a faith in my skills, and also Sam's abilities to connect me with people. He's a very outgoing person, so I knew I had someone good on my side. Yeah.
So when you say abilities, like you'd already been taking photos for like a couple of years, right? At this point, and like outdoor stuff and just like going out on your own and taking photos.
Well, how did you get into photography in general?
So this goes back to, I think, about 10 years old. I started using my mom's film camera, a Nikon FM2. I would just take pictures around the house of my cat, the nature, and like rafting trips that we did. And eventually I saved up and got a Rebel T1i Canon. And that was in middle school. And I started experimenting and doing like creative self-portraiture and getting more into landscape stuff. And I think that's kind of where I really started to feel the love for photography and started to discover other photographers' work and realize, you know, I could make a living off of this, because that's like, I guess, kind of the time where, you know, before you're going into high school, you kind of have to maybe start thinking about what jobs you're going to have, like maybe a summer job and all that stuff. And like, I didn't want to ever really do a job, just hope that photography could be my job, you know?
We connected through, the first time I met you was at a rock gym, and you introduced us, and you said something about wanting to do nature docs, and I was like, oh shit, like that's right up my alley, and like that's also something I'm inspired by doing.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, Dakota, come down from that V9 for a second. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah,
and I was on
he was on his warm up.
My V0. Hey, can you beta this for me? I can't get the snub in the crack jig. Sorry, climbing.
You just have a stroke. Can't get this knob in my jig.
That's a big beta on that jubble.
How do I hold this jug?
But after all that, we talked about nature docs, and I remember thinking it was very much like an acquaintance kind of meeting a Jannik friend, and I just remember walking away being like, wow, that guy was really cool, and I would love to do documentaries with him. And it's cool that like years later we have now done a documentary together, the PAISANO Overhang, and
which I realized recently is like a word for Italian American.
Oh,
on the drive to the festival, and I was like,
a paisano.
And I was like, oh my god, is this an Italian American slur? Like, are we going to this festival having named a short like a racial slur?
I found that out today. I found that I had because I was talking with Ignacio, the Chilean director.
And you guys met him in person?
Yeah. We had like
awesome.
a little coffee meeting. Someone that was at the film festival, and he was like, "So, evoking emotion. Why pick this title?" And we're like, and I was like, "Oh, it's the name of the route." He was like, "Oh, that's
He's
why."
like, thank God.
I was like, "Yeah, it's the name of the route." Or why? He was like, "Well, I mean, it could like kind of be." Like it's an aggressive name, and I think if you want to have like kind of a shock value, like it definitely does have that shock value. But like maybe if you're trying to go for like a more general audience, I would probably change the name. And I was like, why? And then he told me.
Well, I'm just now realizing, looking at the poster, Mike looks like a little Italian too.
I didn't realize it had like a negative connotation.
Well, apparently it doesn't. I checked with some people. It does not have a negative connotation.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I grew up culturally Italian via my stepfather.
Yeah.
So you knew this?
I knew this term. I've known this term since I was like a child. And so like I don't know. It's just like, I feel like, yeah, it's like a term that's thrown around, just being like acknowledge, but always in the sense of like acknowledging another Italian person.
Yeah, like a self-proclaimed, you proclaim yourself
being,
a paisano.
Like, for example, it would be like, oh my God, Teddy's a paisano. How did I not know? And I'm like, Oh, so I didn't think that it was like, I thought it was just being like, oh, it's just recognizing
with the poster.
you.
The poster looks like an angry Italian man.
Angry Italian man holding on himself with his upside down.
Holding like a pulsating neck vein in a way.
I think it looks cool, but I didn't
It's a
think
cool
that.
poster,
Yeah, I didn't think it was like that. Like,
I don't know how we
Okay.
got here, but
anyways.
So it's cool that like, and we have we've talked about it briefly on the podcast, but we've been working on development on a nature doc that we can then go out and shoot, and want to shoot a treatment for, to then try to get some funding similar to our climbing doc, which I'll call just climbing doc now, just to make sure we're all PC. If that's
No, say
something
it with
that
a
people
chest. We
care
clearly
about.
have the poster.
PO.
Yeah, PO.
But so it's cool that like having that little seed, it's something that you get in LA a lot, of like having that little seed of like, oh shit, that was a cool hang, and then years later you're making a film with this person, and I'm glad that you're in that team. But so talk a little bit about our climbing doc, and then maybe we can go into our little nature doc experience, but talk about PAISANO for a bit.
Yeah. So I think how it started, I was with Jannik, and we were saying like, oh, I've always wanted to photograph this friend we know, Isomer, and Jannik was like, well, why don't we just make a video about him, and well, like whatever climbing project he has, and you know, we tried to get him on board, but he's, I think, a little camera shy, doesn't really.
he's very humble. He was
Yeah.
like, I can get you guys somebody better. He's like a really good professional climber, and he's like, no, like I'll get you. If it doesn't work out with me, I can get somebody better.
Yeah,
He's
but
also very busy.
yeah, he is, and you know, so we searched around for another person, and I think like a couple weeks later or something, Mike approached Jannik in the gym, and I think to give him advice on crack climbing or something like that. And
well, we were the only ones climbing this off-width crack in the gym, which is kind of like the like bastardized version of climbing that nobody wants to do. Long story short, but we were messing around on it, and he was like, whoa, that's so cool, you know, because that's kind of his thing. And it was kind of this like, by chance we were doing the one thing that would get him to talk to us.
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, we learned that he was an actor, and he had this crazy climbing project that he was doing nearby, in a place that we were familiar with, and so we were like, all right, here's our guy. And all three of us sat down, Hayden, Jannik, and I sat down with him in the gym and kind of outlined this video that we wanted to do.
We only just briefly talked about AmDocs, American Documentary Film Festival, a documentary and animation film festival. That was in Palm Springs, and that just happened this last weekend, so very fresh on the mind. So like, first kind of, what did you think about it?
So, first of all, watching our film in the context of the theater and being in the audience and having all these other people around you really makes you see all of your mistakes or things you could have maybe improved on a little bit, and which is very valuable. And I came out of there learning a lot, and having really good feedback from a really positive crowd helped a lot too. Everyone there was just so nice and really there for the art and to support the people creating all the films. And I mean, I couldn't think of a better place to get all of this feedback and commentary. And there's people asking questions that I never would have thought of. Like, some guy talked to me about just how to prepare for these climbs. And, you know, we talked about all these different details about getting enough sleep and eating and just feeling your body and how to quiet your mind. And that was a really interesting conversation that maybe we could incorporate into the next project that people can connect to. Because there's, athletes out in the audience that want to connect to rock climbing maybe, but they don't know what rock climbing consists of. And so there's all these little details that come up that you think of that you can, kind of pick apart and add into the next project. And so, yeah, it was just a very valuable space and experience. Yeah, I mean, it's like, way easier to connect to because it's a real thing that happened or is happening. And, I mean, the same thing can happen in narrative. You can completely lose yourself in the world and feel all those emotions. But at least for me, it's much stronger with documentary.
Yeah, I felt kind of like a convert afterwards. I was like, like, why am I trying so hard to create something that's already out there?
Yeah, that exists in the world. You just need to capture it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Why?
And it just feels like also like so much easier to make a doc. Like the amount of effort we put into PAISANO Overhang.
No.
Yeah, I think so.
No, there goes. I mean, we haven't made the feature, and
we haven't made it yet.
We haven't made it.
Haven't made it yet.
No, I mean,
he's been waiting to say it.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's just easier to make. I mean, a doc is a hell of a lot of work too, but I think it's just easier to make something with impact.
I think it's easier to create tone for it, for a doc. I mean, yeah, we had just kind of a weekend to kill, and we ended up making something really good out of it.
For like $500, split 6 ways.
Oh, easier as it's definitely cheaper. It's definitely cheaper to make a impactful story through documentary. But I would say doing it the best it could be is it's constantly on your mind, and you're constantly shifting. The story is constantly changing. There's no script that needs to be the end. Like, even if you go in with a prior idea of this is what I'm trying to get, that never ends up being the thing that you get to. And there's a lot of just constant following the waves and seeing.
I think that's what makes it easier, is like you're really allowed to just follow your intuition in the way you're just not able to a narrative. If you follow your intuition to the degree you do in documentary, in narrative, most likely you're going to piss off a lot of people and lose a lot of money. In doc, it's like you kind of gotta.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's less skill to make a really good doc versus a really good narrative. I'm just saying it feels just like the rewards come so much quicker. I don't know.
I guess so. Like there's definitely a lot of small victories in making documentaries.
It feels more soulful, kind of, in a way, I guess.
Okay. I just don't like saying that the easier is maybe the key term that I don't like about that, because it's just it is a lot of work, and but I guess the ease that maybe you're finding is the connection that you have with the piece. Yes, or
I don't know. I mean, I'm totally open to be convinced otherwise, but I think it's just easier.
Dakota? Sam?
I think it really depends on the scale of which that you're working, and depending on like what the piece that it is, because I don't necessarily, I think I'm like with Hayden on this one. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's like, I don't know, I'm coming from it, I guess, thinking about it of like, you both are experienced climbers. This is something that you do for fun, that you've invested in already. Like, if, I guess per se, if you're just thinking about it like just for objectively, just like narrative and non-narrative, really, I think it depends on the piece that you're making, because you have so much knowledge and experience and resources already for this particular piece. Therefore, I think that like maybe it is a little bit easier to dive into and have that perspective on that, because all that research and effort and thought is not as deep versus narrative, because it is coming from like not necessarily, like a fictionalized place that you have to create on your own out of nothing, that creates a lot more effort. The thought, the resources, you have to come up with that as you're going because you're exploring what that particularly means. Because I feel like documentaries, it's like, I don't know, like I think about like if I was interested in something like a true crime, for example, let's just say that. There's so much thought into being like, as a lame person of just like not knowing what that environment is like, I would have to do so much work and effort and money in the same way that I feel like I would have to structure a narrative, a scripted narrative to get to that point as well. So I just really feel like it depends on what it is, I guess. And also, I guess a short for short, like what is the difference there? And I mean, I don't know, obviously, all of that information, but I just feel like it's such a broad thing.
The big difference is the most interesting thing about a movie, the character. You have to make from scratch a narrative, and you never do. You capture it, but you don't make it from scratch in one, and you do have to make the most interesting part from scratch in the other. So, and that's always the hardest thing for me, and for I think any successful thing, making a great character, and that's just a huge amount of difference of how hard it is. I mean, there's a huge amount of effort that goes into finding it and cultivating a relationship and blah, blah, blah. But it just, I don't know, every time I've made a documentary, it just felt like it kind of did itself.
But do you think that's because you've already knew that? Like that it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you make a documentary, I don't know about the other stuff that you've made, but like for this one in particular, it's like you're so familiar with it already. So like the narrative, I think, comes easier.
No, because in a doc class that I did in college, the objective was find an interesting person and record them for like a mini doc to capture their character. And I just found a guy that I thought was really quirky and weird. And it ended up being like this hilarious, really great, insightful. I thought I really liked what I came up with within like, a week's time. It just, I mean, maybe I just like have a good eye for spotting weird characters. I don't know. Maybe that's like maybe I'm just more of a documentarian than I am a narrative person. Maybe that's what I'm finding out. But it just, maybe, I don't know.
What are we seeing with Dakota?
Yeah. I just got excited, so I'm talking a lot.
I mean, I kind of agree with Sam. It's very project to project basis. It's like if there's a subject that I'm very familiar with, I'm going to have all of this background knowledge and this whole world that I know that I can pull ideas from. Like if it's the narrative thing, like for example, this thing Sam did is this vampire world. And like I understood his style, and I understood this dark, like underworld vampire thing that he was going for. And that didn't feel like very much of a challenge to accomplish with him. I was just doing sound on it, but I also helped with a lot of other things and gave some input here and there. And there were other things that I've worked on narrative that with other people that I just didn't really know the subject at all. And that felt like such a struggle for me to even think about like a character and what they might do. And just the whole story that could happen there and how to put them in this world. And I think, the same thing for Doc, if it's a subject that I really understand, like maybe butterflies with my mom, I can just go out there and do that second nature. And I know dozens of different stories that could possibly happen and how I can shape that.
With your connection, Dakota, with documentary, you have an interest, and you talked briefly about your mother working her work on butterflies, and it's something that inspired me to look more into that aspect to the research I've been doing with the project we're calling now the Butterfly Effect, and maybe talking a little bit about the aspects of, I don't know what you kind of want to do with your work in the future.
So, as I said before, I used to go photograph like maybe a plant or an animal and ask people what they know about it and like create a story about it that I can use to educate people. Like you can go through my Instagram all the way down and find all those. And when I was in college for a few months, I was going for environmental photojournalism, and I would really like to bring that back into my life, and I think I feel like I have a little bit of a duty to use my skills to educate people about things going on in the world as a photographer and someone who is able to document things and tell stories. I don't want to just be making stuff for myself and for my own pleasure or for brands just to make money. I really feel deeply that I want to make an impact in my community and beyond that. And I've felt like I was doing that in high school and shortly after, going on a lot of hikes with my mom and documenting them and creating my own stories about why they're counting species in a particular piece of property. Being in that environment, it really touched me, and I felt like wow, this is just the most important thing I've ever felt in my life. Like I need to spread these messages, and I need people to know why these things happen or why these people are doing the work they're doing to conserve or protect or help certain species or be, just any sort of environmental message that needs to be out there. I want to help push.
I thought Ignacio, the guy we were talking about, we met, had a really cool point about how to get people to look at conservation, which was to connect with the characters. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
Approach. Important.
Yeah, I really liked that from him too. And I have always wanted to do something like that with my mom, and maybe a couple other people that she works with. And I feel like I'm almost ready to do that. Not quite yet, but I think, I really just want to bring that back into my life right now, and working on this project, the butterfly effect is feeling really good.
Yeah. And I look back at, our first meeting, our meet cute at the little climbing gym, and him grasping a V8 with, sorry, I'll stop at that. But
V8? Like, what are these?
It's like a vitamin drink.
No, thank you so much. I do know that.
They're just difficulties. Oh, okay. Yeah. Like, it's nice. Like, where our first conversation was wanting to do nature docs, and now it's cool that we can have that discussion, and we're like kind of grasping to putting those episodes together, what we want to talk about and how we want to talk about it. And it's constantly changing, like every month. In us having busy schedules, it's tough to try get time to do it, but I know that it's coming soon, and I'm excited to kind of follow through with the things that I care about and the things that you care about, and sharing those stories together.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to be doing it in a newer format for me. Like all the work I've done in that field has been through photography and writing, and doing it through moving images is going to be very exciting. And I had a lot of fun with Paisano, and I think adding all the skills I've learned there to something I care a little more deeply about, I think that's going to feel really good.
I think the way you describe photography is how I would describe you, which is interesting, of that connection that you have with photography. But you are a quiet person, but it's not. I always sense in you that you are present, and I would say like peaceful and meaningful. Like I like the times that I have with you, I are meaningful, and I can see that you're present and you care. And it's like, it's interesting how you explain those same, you use those same words in your connection with photography, and it's cool that you can have that similar relationship.
Yeah. Thank you. That's exactly how I feel. Like I sometimes have trouble being present, and that's usually the times when I have a disconnect to photography or something. Like I'm getting lost in just my day job, like I'm just not present. But when I get back into doing my own things, I'm right there and able to hold a lot more space.
Yeah. 10 years from now, where do you want to be?
39 years old. That's scary and exciting. Hopefully just still doing photography. Ideally all the outdoor sports, nature, docs, and environmental work, just being outside with my camera and being able to tell stories. Yeah.
And if we were to record you right now and then play this back for you when you're 39, what would you say to yourself?
Just keep going and trust your intuition, and just remind your just take it slow. Like sometimes you get too caught up in trying to have a plan for yourself for the next 5 minutes even, and it's like life is just going to happen anyway. So just trust your intuition and do what feels right.
Which is wild, because you moving to LA at 18, 19 is quite literally, I feel like the exact opposite of that. Yeah. You've been doing it already.
Get it going.
I know.
Well, cool.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Our outro question of the day is brought to you by Indieknot Films. We have a new logo and stickers, which I was so excited to have present. So I want it to like be something we can give to our guests. So you will get a sticker, and we will present it to camera someday.
But it's only because of the compliments.
But if you were if you could make a logo of yourself, what would it be?
Yeah.
boy.
Oh God! All right. Well,
He's got a website. Sorry, I don't want to you already have? No.
No, it has to be of yourself.
Of
not
you.
Myself.
Of your persona.
That's a good question. Something that represents me. Maybe it could be, well, I have an echinacea flower tattoo. I feel pretty connected to that. Maybe it could be something like that. An echinacea flower.
there you go.
There's my
With
logo.
a DK.
Yeah. That'd be sick.
Who else? Does anyone have a logo?
Is that not a good enough outro?
No, that's. I mean, we're fading.
Okay. We made it already. This is Haven't Made It Yet, an Indieknot production, hosted by Sam Hong, Hayden Garrett, and Jannik Garrett. Music by Harrison Garrett. We've got a newsletter. Keep up to date on all the fun stuff that we're up to. The link is in the description. Do you have any feedback, any questions, topics you want us to cover? Email us at indieknotfilms@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And if you want to help us out, please rate and review from wherever you're listening. Thanks.